I empower architects like you to break free from bland, uninspiring proposals and instead create persuasive, visually impactful presentations that truly connect with clients and help win projects. So welcome to my channel, where we'll discover together how to move beyond the average design proposal, win over your clients, create more rapport, and get your projects off the ground. Hi, I'm Jason, and I'm a design architect. And over the past 25 years, I've been creating design proposals day in and day out for several major design firms. Along the way, I focused on improving my speed, efficiency, and design and presentation methods to impress clients and draw them in to secure new architectural projects. I've also been privileged to teach hundreds of architectural design professionals the same strategies that I'm about to teach you right now in this training.
It's opened my eyes up. He opens up the possibilities beyond what you may know.
It really blew me away, learning some fairly accessible techniques, putting them together in a strategic way, and coming up with imagery that I think really helps.
What you're doing, helping everybody all over the world, really something.
Using this hybrid method and pulling these two together. I've been looking at this for 25 years.
You've taken very simple ways of using all the tools that we normally use, and you've rearranged the puzzle to create the most streamlined way of working.
You can download the Architect's Design Proposal Formula in the description below. I found an easier way to produce work for presentations that was far more enjoyable and gratifying during my workday. Finding a simpler design process that was easier for me ended up being more effective for my clients too. Once I stripped things down, made the workflow smoother, the proposals clearer, and the end result more focused, I noticed a real shift in my project acquisition rate started to soar. What felt quick and streamlined on my side came across as sharp, clear, and inspiring to others. Simpler ideas made decisions easier, and that clarity drove momentum and results. I could be more creative and flexible with design changes, and I could balance my architectural career with family life. If you're a design architect and you're the one stuck behind the screen prepping for those high-pressure client deadlines, then this is for you. You know the feeling. The deadlines are tight, the workflow is slow, and everything feels clunky. You're thinking there's got to be a better way to get my design and presentations ready with less stress and work. And if you're honest, you're tired of the constant learning curve. You wish you had the time to level up your skills so you could run a project on your own without having to rely on other designers and graphic artists who just don't meet your goals. Then there's the software, the back and forth, the bugs, the lag. You're spending more time fighting the tools than actually designing. You just want a process that feels simple, fast, and intuitive. And if you're someone with big goals, maybe you're building something of your own. You want the freedom to take control, to go solo and soar like an eagle. But here's the thing. The cycle adds up. The late nights, the burnouts, the endless side effects, your sleep, your energy, and time lost with the ones that you love. Click the link in the description below to download my Architect's official design proposal formula and workflow. This is the very same system I've used and shared with hundreds of architects to work faster, design smarter, present better, and reclaim your time without compromising your creative vision. The real power comes when you combine specific design tools with a streamlined process and overarching strategy. That's when you're able to leverage the tools and explode your process. Each tool does its part, and together they create a smooth, efficient path from idea to final architectural realization. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing just enough to move fast, stay creative, and keep the momentum flowing. So our first point of departure is to discuss the overarching workflow that we need, and thereafter we're going to take a look at the tools that we're going to be using in this specific process, which will give you the leverage to work super quickly. So let's just jump in. So the best place to start for me always is with a 2D schematic design, and that may be of a retail center or a hotel or a hospital, whatever type of architectural design you're doing. So what's really important is to get a schematic version of it into your computer, a very rough version of it. It's very important that we have this as a foundation in CAD to begin our process. This is the beginning of your design process. So things are in flux still and needs to be very conceptual at this stage. But once you've got your 2D sketch, the next best place to go is into your 3D massing environment. And that's super important because the 3D massing environment is where you're going to develop your envelope of the model. And I use a parametric environment which allows me to change my model up as many times as I want so that I can refine my design. And that's important to note because there's some programs that when you model in them, they don't allow you to continue from where you left off and you have to start again. But once we've finished with our 3D massing, then we can jump into our visual exploration, which happens in another 3D modeling program where we explore the model and we really bring it to life with entourage, because entourage creates relatability between you and the client. Then we're going to be taking the final imagery into our graphic design softwares, and we're going to be producing final imagery by tweaking the imagery, by airbrushing, by doing subtle edits to bring it to life. And then we're going to be using the graphic design software to do our final layouts, and we're going to print it out on paper. Let's take a look at the next process where we're going to take a look at the individual softwares that we're going to be using in our workflow. And let's jump into that right now. So having a combination of tools is super powerful, but what's very valuable to also understand is that you do need a strategy and a workflow that binds it all together into a process. But let's take a look at the various softwares that we are going to be using, and they're very specific for their tasks. So once you've got a two-dimensional schematic plan, and that you can create in any software, you can create that in AutoCAD, you can create that in Sketchup, whatever you like to draw in CAD, obviously you can use that software that you're more familiar with. And then once you've got that schematic plan, we need that as a foundational process, and then we'll bring it into a software like Revit. And why Revit is extremely powerful is that it's got a massing function. What is so special about the massing function is it allows us to model the 3D envelope of a building and to tweak it and to iterate extremely quickly so that we can shift the design and change the design. It also allows us to create the most amazing geometries. So that's the power of Revit. And once we've got a Revit model, we'll import that model into SketchUp. And the reason why SketchUp is so powerful is because SketchUp is very primitive in the way it works. And what you can do with SketchUp is you can find the most amazing views. You can hunt for views. You can set up camera angles. You can correct perspective. You can create line work so the building looks handcrafted in an artful sort of way. And you can also tweak the Revit model in SketchUp. So the Revit model comes into SketchUp really easily, sort of integrate with one another. The other thing that SketchUp has got is the most amazing ability to allow us to embellish our models or to populate our models with entourage. What is entourage? Entourage is cars, trees, foliage, people, trains, aeroplanes, whatever you need to bring your model to life. So that all gets done in SketchUp. And SketchUp is like the stewing pot. It's the pot where you bring the manufactured model into and produce the final product that needs to be rendered. So after SketchUp, as the in-between tool or the stewing pot, we can take our model into other softwares. Like obviously we could use artificial intelligence. We can use the latest AI apps. There are a whole bunch of apps that I love using. And then we can also use softwares like B5 Render, which also integrate with artificial intelligence. But once we've got our imagery, we'll bring our imagery into Photoshop, and Photoshop will give us two levels of process. The first level is to soften the images, to do post-production to the images. And the second level is to do layouts and to create layouts specifically for print to show our clients in client meetings. And that's what our combination of software strengths will help us with in our design process. So let me know in the comments below if you're excited about streamlining your workflow. Comment the word direct and I'll send you a link to my latest Design Architects workflow cheat sheet. And if you found value in this training, in my next video, which is shortly up, I'll be showing a way to accelerate the design process to ignite design fees by bridging the gap. Click this link to watch now. I look forward to sharing more with you.